All right, so Joe Foster, an icon in not just sportswear, go back to where it all started.
And although we argued with my father and my uncle, nothing happened. They wouldn't change. We became the number one running company in the UK. And really, then it was a matter of what do we do now?
Going up against some formidable incumbents, Adidas, for example. What was the strategy you said to yourself and your brother? How are we going to attack this bigger giant?
Took us from a 9 million company at that time to a 900 million company in 4 years. We just took them up.
That's incredible.
You get somebody and they influence the rest. And when my stars, that influenced it.
I would argue that, people like you have pioneered early days of, finding influencers to build a global brand. Now, the audience would love to hear, one or two of those moments where it was gut-wrenching when you said to yourself, how am I going to overcome this?
Problems are opportunities. Where are you going to go to next? And it's a risk. Of course it's a risk, but be willing to go there and keep at it. Don't give up. That's the main thing. Don't give up. It all depends upon where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it. But don't give up. Look for white space and also have fun.
Hi everyone, welcome to the ChallengerX podcast. Today's episode features Joe Foster, one of the UK's most accomplished entrepreneurs and co-founder of one of the most iconic brands in sports history. Born in Bolton, England, and raised in a family with generations of experience in athletic footwear, Joe and his brother, Jeff, founded Reebok in 1958. What began as a small business in northern England grew into a global sportswear powerhouse that challenged Nike and Adidas during the fitness boom in the 1980s. Today, Reebok is owned by Authentic Brands Group, which has acquired the company for approximately $2.5 billion, and the parent company itself has been valued at more than $20 billion. But what makes Joe's story so compelling is not just the scale of the success, it's the entrepreneurial journey behind it. From humble beginnings to building a globally recognized brand, his path is a testament to vision, resilience, and the courage to think bigger than your circumstances. This conversation goes far beyond sneakers. It's about entrepreneurship, leadership, brand building, and the lessons that come from creating a company that leaves a lasting impact on business, sports, and culture. So let's go. All right. So Joe Foster, it's an honor to have you on my podcast. You have been an icon in not just sportswear, but just in terms of fashion and athletic footwear. You've really created a brand. You are known around the world as, the co-founder of Reebok. I would love to go back to where it all started. You were born into a family, making running shoes for generations. I would love to hear your early experiences growing up in that family and how that, may have sparked an interest in continuing on the family legacy.
Yeah, well, like many kids, you grow up not really knowing anything about business. You have fun and in fact, we had a World War II when I was young. I was 5 when it started and 10 when it finished. And we didn't know, my brother and myself didn't know too much about the family business because during the war, they were repairing army boots instead of manufacturing running shoes. But my grandfather started the business in 1895 and they had a lot of success, a lot of gold medals, a lot of world records, and they had a good business. But of course, it all stopped during the war. After the war, they started back up again. But unfortunately, my grandfather had died in 1933, before I was born, but I was born on his birthday in 1935. So there was a natural sort of story there. And I joined the company in 1953, 52, I think I joined the company, 52. I worked for a year, then did 2 years of national service. And we came back from national service, both my brother and myself, to a company which was failing. J.W. Foster and Sons was a failing company. And although we argued with my father and my uncle, and nothing happened, they wouldn't change. They just did the same thing. They were making shoes they'd made in the 1930s. And we said, well, Adidas are coming and Puma are coming. My brother had been in Germany during national service. And so we needed to change.
That's great. What a great idea. I'm sure it all started with an idea to be different. And then what's unique about, your history is you started the business with your brother Jeff, and you both embraced this vision to have a different kind of shoe and shoe line. So talk to me about how you and Jeff collaborated in the early days to bring about your vision.
Well, we decided that since the company wouldn't change, we would have to leave. So we left the JW company and we set up Mercury. That was the company we set up. We set that up in the next town, as it were. And we knew that what we had to do was really communicate. We had to become part of the fabric of athletics, which was just about sort of coming out of track and field. And a lot more road running, a lot more cross country, and we had to communicate with all the athletes, and that's what we did. So we made shoes that they wanted, and it drove us along the route. I tried to sell to the retailers, sports shops in those days. I mean, and that's changed tremendously. But the sports shops, they were only small, and they said, "Well, we've got Adidas, we've got Dunlop, why do we need Reebok?" Well, they didn't need Reebok. So we went out to race meetings and we sold direct to athletes. There was also a book that the Amateur Athletic Association produced, which had the name and address of every secretary of every running club in the country. So I just made a connection and I got agents. And I sent one letter out with 100 agents. After about 3 letters and maybe a couple of years, we had about 300 agents. So we became the number 1 running company in the UK. And really, then it was a matter of what do we do now? Do we expand our territory, or do we expand our product line? Do we go into soccer, or what? Do we go into Europe, or do we go to America? We chose America. It took me 11 years to get into America, but I think the thing you must learn is that you've got to persist on that. But meanwhile, we started off as Mercury, but we couldn't register it. So we had to change our name. We changed to Reebok, which in itself is a story. And
I want to dig into that. I want to dig into the meaning behind the name, because Reebok is synonymous. It's a global brand. We all know it. We wear the shoe. How did the name come about?
Well, the name came about, I've got to take you back to 1943. I'm 8 years old, and like with COVID, nobody could go anywhere. Nothing was going on, but they had local events, and I won a local race, and the prize was a dictionary. It was an American dictionary. And now if I fast forward you to 1960, when we're looking for a name, I am looking in my dictionary, and I like the letter R. So pretty soon I came across R-E, Reebok. What's that? It's a small South African gazelle. We're a running company. Gazelle, perfect. So we put that at the top of a list, which we had to give to our agent. He asked for 10 names. We gave him 10, and we said, we want that one.
Brilliant.
It took him 2 weeks to search it out, but then he said, you can have Reebok.
Now, you were, going up against some formidable incumbents, Adidas, for example. The name of the show is called the ChallengerX. The Challenger mindset is what we talk about here. How did you think about challenging, what was the strategy you said to yourself and your brother? How are we going to attack this bigger giant in the marketplace?
Well, the thing that we went for was really to concentrate on running. And at that time, surprisingly enough, Adidas were not that big in America. They had a lot of distribution on track and field, but not on running. They were very slow to get into road running because road running was really growing in America. Everybody wanted to put on a pair of shoes and go out and run, just training. So we aimed for that market. We thought that's the best market to go in for. We aimed for it. It took 11 years, but we got there. We got there in the end. Our problem was that people didn't know us. And until Runners World decided that they would really judge the shoes and see which were the best, and they came up with a star rating, and we got 5 stars. In fact, we got 5 stars for 3 shoes. That made the difference for us. Suddenly we were on the market. Suddenly people wanted us, and we really enjoyed that. We got on the market, but the big thing that happened for Reebok was that a guy called Angel Martinez, who was down in Los Angeles, he saw aerobics. And he said, we should be making a shoe. Let's make an aerobic shoe for women. Let's make it in glove leather, make it in women's sizes. Glove leather was wrong, but making it for women and making it just for women, that was perfect. And it took us from a 9 million company at that time to a 900 million company in 4 years. We just took them up.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
How do you think about experimentation? Like, a lot of this comes out of, yes, very brilliant minds, but innovation and putting those ideas into an experiment, if you will, to see which one actually, will take you further. How did you guys do that? Because clearly there was some very clever execution going on during this time.
Well, we work with athletes, and so if athletes wanted to try something, we would try something. We would put different spikes in different positions. We would have longer spikes or shorter spikes. This is for track and field. But for country, we were good at country because we had some good shoes, the good sole. But we were in the north of England, so country was really big in the north of England. But when we got to America, of course, we were on the road. And being on the road, all we needed was somebody to like our product. And we had Bill Rogers, Frank Shorter. They were both top runners in those days. And we had them. So it's the same way that you do with anything. Is you get somebody and they influence the rest. And when we got 5 stars, that influenced it. So it's getting the influencers.
Sounds like, your strategy was, find the influential track athletes who would then, become your influencers. It's interesting that strategy is still used today in the entire influencer market. But I would argue that, people like you have pioneered early days of, finding influencers to build a global brand.
Well, my grandfather did that because in 1904, he gave his shoes to a guy called Alfred Shrubb. And Alfred Shrubb, in one event in 1904, broke 4 world records. So
wow.
I mean, it's also, and it's not changed. You're quite right. It's still what Reebok did, and particularly in America, we moved away from athletes. Totally. We still use athletes, but we went into music, we went into fashion. So we've been top people, and we went into Hollywood. So we had people influencing who were actually actors, and that really worked. And I think even today, there are so many different ways of influencing your audience.
What lesson? Now, you went into the U.S. In 1979. You met Paul Fireman at a trade show in Chicago, which then birthed incredible licensing deal that was a game changer for you. How was, like, walk me through that experience of taking a small brand out of north of England to now in the world's largest market? What are the challenges and priorities that you were dealing with at the time to actually keep up with this new market?
Well, essentially, you have to believe in your product. And on top of believing in it, you've got to keep at it. It's very difficult at times to make that first breakthrough. And as I say, it took us 11 years to get the breakthrough. I was first there in 1968, and it was 1979 before we really got a distribution that could work, because we had the influence of, and because we won 5 stars, it gave us that credibility. So you need to get the credibility. A lot of people can make a shoe today. It's very easy. There are a lot of people out there who know how to do it, but it's really getting people to believe that you're the one that they should buy. And to do that,
and clearly the company was growing in people and size. How did you and your brother as founders learn to now maybe let go of some of the day-to-day and like start to rely on a larger team? Like, what was that experience like for you? Because you started this thing from scratch.
Well, that was it was not too difficult. Once you get orders coming in, once you get the whole business moving forward, it's then the next problem is to get the product. So and at the right price, because when I got Paul Fireman, I also got Kmart. It was Kmart. Those days, Kmart were very big, and Kmart said, "Well, we want 20,000 pairs." That for us was a big order. That would have taken us 6 months, but we knew that if we got 5-star ratings, we would get big orders. So we'd already been to Korea. And working with Korea, they could make the product, they can make it very good at a very good price. And Kmart wanted a good price. But I went to see Kmart, and I thought, they're too big for me. If it didn't work for them, they would just drop me very quickly. So I went to see Paul Fireman, and we worked together from being nothing. He was starting out of his camping company, which he was a bit tired of doing his camping, the same thing. So he decided he would come with me, and we would do we'd do Reebok, we'd do running, because running was growing. In fact, running has been growing, and sport has been growing ever since we started. In 1958, since then, we've never had a recession.
That's incredible. And Joe, like, looking back, I know success is never a straight line. You've done a lot of the unimaginable, build a brand in the UK, bring it to the US, go head to head with large brands that on their home turf, like Nike, Adidas. You actually outsold Nike in the US in the 80s. But looking back, I'm sure you had some setbacks. The audience would love to hear, one or two of those moments where it was gut-wrenching when you said to yourself, how am I going to overcome this? I would love to hear insights into what those setbacks look like.
Oh, we had a number of setbacks. We had to change our name from Mercury. We got a better name. We had a silhouette, which is 2 stripes and a T-bar. And after 18 months in business, Adidas said that we were infringing their 3-stripe. We weren't that big that we could fight them, even though we thought we didn't have. So we changed our silhouette. And I think that's one of the things you've got to do. And that is, what we gained from that was the fact that problems are opportunities. And we use those problems, we use them as opportunities. We changed our name, we changed our trademark, and both were better. We had a better silhouette and also a better name.
Joe, you've accomplished quite a bit. I would say it's an incredible legacy. You're sharing these experiences with our audience. Only inspires them and us. In the last few moments we have, you started with almost nothing and built a brand that shaped how the world dresses and moves in athletics. And what would you like to leave as your legacy for, and I'm sure you have more work to do, but what lessons would you like to leave the next generation in terms of who have aspirations to build that next Reebok, that next big brand?
Well, the best thing that anybody can do if they start off is to decide what product or what business they're going to be in. And we call that white space, because we look for white space. And when we started, we had some nice white space, which was north of England specialist areas of cross country, orienteering. I think, and we're also in rugby league. So we could do the best in those because we were close to them. So do that, and then look where you're going to go to next. And it's a risk, of course it's a risk, but be willing to go there and keep at it. Don't give up. That's the main thing. Don't give up. You can make it, but and finding different ways, and you will find different ways. I can't sort of say that you should do this, and this, and you will be successful. It all depends upon where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it. But don't give up. Look for white space, and also have fun. Make sure you have fun. That's the most important thing. That if you're not having fun, you'll find it very hard. So have fun.
What a brilliant way to end the show. Look for white space, don't give up, and have fun. Joe, we're going to have you back on another episode. I'm sure our audience is going to be thrilled to hear from you on this show. Thank you for taking the time, and I look forward to staying connected.
It's a pleasure, Jerome. A real pleasure.
Thank you.